Academy information session this evening. My name is Michelle Walsh, and I'm a school counselor here at Hermon High School. I work with students whose last names begin with the letters O through Z. I'm also joined by Leslie Smith, who's our Director of Guidance, and she works with students whose last names begin with the letters I through N. And I see that we have Lillian Berry, who's our other school counselor here, and she works with students whose last names begin with the letters A through H. So that's your Hermon crew here for this evening, but we're also joined by some special guests this evening. We have Mason Brewer and Brian Langley. They are our representatives from Bridge Academy, Maine. We also have Christine Knight, who is our representative from University of Maine at Augusta. And we also have Heather Pelletier, who's the Student Services Coordinator at UTC, or United Technology Center. We're all here together tonight to present information to you and your students or parents about Bridge Academy to see if this is an option that you might be interested in. We'll sort of go through the slides of the slideshow this evening. Feel free to ask questions at any time in the chat. Christine has graciously offered to watch the chat for us, which is wonderful. And we'll also offer up some time at the end for additional questions. All right, so let's get started. So Bridge Academy at Hermon High School. So this program is a program that allows Hermon High School students to combine their courses here at Hermon High School along with a technical program from UTC and early college courses. Through the program at UTC, students have choices of 19 different career programs that they can choose from. And so in addition to their Hermon High School courses and UTC program, they'll also be signing up for a minimum of 3 early college courses per year, both their junior and senior year. And that's at a free or reduced tuition cost. Basically, the goal of the Bridge program is, in addition to allowing students to get a jump start on their college credits, it also allows them to have a smoother transition from being a high school student and heading into that post-secondary world and just kind of learning how to access the courses, how to, check email on a regular basis, consult with their professors or teachers, etc. Students apply during sophomore year to participate. So those applications are actually just going to go up this evening. Students will go through the application process, which we'll kind of talk about a little bit later. But we want you to know why we invited freshmen as well. Freshman parents, your students are at a critical time right now where they just are starting high school. They're figuring out what courses they might be interested in. And knowing that they're interested in the Bridge program will help us advise them correctly when we get together for their course advising coming up in March. So this allows freshmen to plan ahead. So at this point, I want to go ahead and turn things over to Mason Brewer from Bridge Academy, and he's going to take us through some additional slides and give us some information about the program.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I've been keeping an eye on the weather myself, and I'm not quite up as far north as everyone, but it is messy, so I appreciate just chopping on this call, let alone folks who may have stayed back just to watch this. So just to introduce myself real quick, my name is Mason Brewer. I am the program director of the Bridge Academy Maine program. I also work with our executive director of our organization, Brian Langley, who I'll introduce here shortly in a second. I'd just like to begin sort of our talking points by telling a quick story about myself and my role as the program director. I really, I'm not really kind of a one job guy. I really try to help, as we'll talk about, that we really try to support both students and staff. So any way that I can help students, any way that I can help staffs fulfill the goals of not only their pathway, but the goals of our program is really where I come from. And a lot of that draws back on my personal story. I learned about 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, I graduated high school. I'm a Maine high school grad, Wiscasset High School down in the mid-coast. And I can remember vividly sitting in a meeting just like this that my mother probably made me come to as well for students that are on the call. And I kind of tuned it out a little bit. I remember that they mentioned that dual enrollment opportunities, and specifically for me, it was Southern Maine Community College, was kind of a new thing at that time. There wasn't a lot of colleges offering early college credits to high school students, but they were trying to show you how you could save time and money, as well as get some experience in what a college level course is. And for me, that just, the word sports wasn't in the same sentence. The words playing soccer and baseball wasn't there. So I really, really tuned it out and just assumed that I knew everything I needed to know about where I was going to go and what I was going to do. And looking back, I realized that all these questions that you see on the screen, I was thinking about at that time. I just didn't really care to answer them. I knew I was capable. Teachers were telling me that, but I really just kind of felt like it was going to get there when it got there. The money, hopefully I got enough of a good job that whatever money I spent, I was going to be able to pay back someday. And for any parents that are on the call, and my mother, who I'm sure she can hear me now, that's just not the way it is. I mean, there are many students who are go-getters and can figure things out on their own. And then there are many students who, like me, just kind of skate through and show up to class every day, do as best as we can, but really feel like we're going to deal with everything when we get there. So our purpose as a program really is just to help provide that extra support. When I was a high school student, like I mentioned, I had counselors, teachers, coaches who were trying to at least show me the opportunities that were available at my high school, around my high school, in my local community, in the Maine State College and community college system. But again, it was just kind of I want to go to four-year college. I want to go out of state. I don't want to stay in Maine kind of thing. And I've really learned all of that through my experience in admissions and financial aid. I wouldn't say the hard way. I've had a lot of blessings in disguise, but looking at bridge students that we work with, it's just kind of a no-brainer. Like, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I talk to my counselor? I remember the sheet. It was a colored sheet that my counselor handed out to me, just asking me what I like to do with my life. And I acted like it was this big paper that I had to fill out, as if they were just asking me to do one more thing. And for students that are on the call, what you'll realize is 2 years, maybe a year after high school, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, you'll realize there were a lot of things in high school that you saw as something that it wasn't, and it really was just intended to help you. And Bridge, you'll hear that throughout our presentation, but that's really what it's all about. A lot of the opportunities that are available to you now are available to you regardless of whether you do the Bridge program. But being in the Bridge program helps you pair everything, gives you that additional support, and helps you kind of get across that river. And that's where our analogy comes from. A lot of students are just kind of sitting on the grass, looking at the water and how they cross it. Brian and I like to joke there's a great Geico commercial that really hits on this that we would love to show you, but we're just not quite there tech-wise. I'm sure some CTE centers have some good tech kids that are. But what we try to do is we really just try to look at the opportunities that are there at the schools, work with the schools to help them kind of promote and implement those opportunities specifically for students that fit the program. And what that means is that students are obligated, or it's mandatory that students attend both the high school and UTC, in your case, a CTE center and a CTE program. And in a second, I'll have Brian Langley speak to why that is and the state's mission. But the ultimate goal really is that a student that goes to a CTE center goes through some dual enrollment programs and then couples that with something like a summer academy or 2 summer academies on top of every other opportunity and extracurricular activity that still will be available to you. You'll end up graduating high school and looking back like, wow, I cannot believe I even thought that I wasn't going to do Bridge, or what would have happened if I didn't do Bridge, or just UTC, or go to a summer academy. And you'll hear little stories throughout our presentation that really speak to those things. But what we've seen looking back on students is that students that join the Bridge program, regardless of whatever they were going to do, they just seem to have a lot more of an idea of what college level courses are, where they want to go, what pathway they're on, and how they're going to get there. And even further than that, a lot of students can look back, and Hermon is a testament to this. They can tell their younger sibling, yeah, this was an obvious choice. And I'm glad I did it. So that's kind of where we're at now. And I just want to introduce our executive director, Brian Langley, to speak about the mission of the program. He knows the nuts and bolts, as well as why the state the state's mission for promoting a program like ours.
Hey, thanks, Mason, and to all of you out there listening tonight in Hermon. I just want to point out to you sort of the history a little bit, and that is Hermon was our very, very first partner. The folks at Hermon High School and the district helped build a Bridge Academy. So our successes really build on the hard work that was done at Hermon, and so we're very, very grateful to the folks at Hermon. My name is Brian Langley, and I'm the executive director of the Bridge Academy Maine. But I haven't always been that. I taught at Hancock County Technical Center for 27 years. I taught culinary arts. I am a chef and a restaurant owner in one part of my life. I own and operate the Union River Lobster Pot restaurant in downtown Ellsworth. 2008, I retired from teaching, and somebody said that, hey, maybe you ought to run for the legislature. And I did, got elected, served 10 years in the legislature, 2 years in the House and 8 years in the Senate. And in those 8 years, I chaired the Education Committee, 6 of the 8 years that I served on that committee. And it's there in the legislature that this idea was born. Mr. Miller, who was the director at UTC up until I think this year, and some folks at Hermon High School had these conversations about how do we better serve kids who are going to the tech center and then going on to school afterwards. How can we get them these high-level academics, rigorous academic courses to partner with the credentials of value that they're getting, these real-world credentials at the technical center, to produce, tomorrow's really highly skilled workforce, both with technical skills and strong academic skills. So that first partnership was born, and that was with the University of Maine and Eastern Maine Community College, and sitting around the table created Bridge Academy Maine. So we're all built on partners, and everybody brings their A game to this, what's really kind of fun. People are really good at their jobs in the lane they travel in. And what we do is we try to fill in the gaps between all of those organizations. So the university system, specifically the University of Maine in Augusta, and Christine is here to talk tonight from there. Our technical centers, the Department of Labor, which is the Career Center, they're a strong partner of ours because they're very much focused on the labor market in Maine and helping employers find skilled workers. And then also we have a partnership with Brightspace, which is a learning management system that the university and the community college both entail. Now, prior to coming on tonight, we were sitting and talking and preparing for this. And one of the big key things that we talked about was having your students really run through the paces of what it's like to be in college in the safety net of the high school. So your guidance counselors, all 3 of them, were talking about, how for your students to be able to practice those things, filling out applications and that sort of thing. So we, besides those bringing those college courses in with the technical center, the things that Bridge Academy brings to the table that's not in a normal early college setting. So many kids today can take online classes. They can, sign up for other courses out of other universities. And it can be more of a shotgun approach, sort of hit or miss. What we do is we try to bring some focus and head towards a degree or a credential of value. So we work with your students to do that. So the dual enrollment, we have a good idea of what the workforce needs are in Maine and can steer and advise students towards those high wage, high demand jobs. So part of the real benefit, you can save a lot of money. We have some access to scholarships that other people don't. We, in the summer, bring students in and, for example, give them experience of what it's like to go on campus. Simple thing like checking into a dorm. One of the fun things that we do is we hire an RA to do a night class to really illustrate what are the fastest ways to get kicked out of college. Because a lot of people do make those mistakes and find themselves standing on the outside looking in. So while there's a strong academic component, there's a nuts and bolts component. You know, what is the real mechanics of going to the school? So with that, we have found that this focused programmatic approach is really beneficial to students, so they're not wasting time or energy.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. And a lot of the things that Brian talks about, I mean, there are so many trial and error types of things, pilot programs, everything that we do, and especially Brian's a testament to that, is really just trying to do the best thing for the students and bring opportunities to them that are out there, but really just need a little bit more direction, both from the student end and from school and state end. So that's really where we are. Like I said, a lot of those programs that we work with, and obviously Hermon's not the other one. We're as far north right now as Holton up in Aroostook County, and we're far west as Farmington, far south as Lewiston right now, and growing every year. So a lot of the value added benefits that we bring to every partner, but every partner has a little bit of a unique flavor to their program because of how their school operates. So we don't want to come in and try to boss schools around and tell them we know exactly how to counsel students and tell them where to go. A lot of times folks that you see on this call that we work with are the experts, and we're really just here to help support them and help their students too. So we've talked a lot about kind of the overall picture. I want to get a little bit into specifics, and hopefully I won't spend too much time. And if folks have questions, we can answer those at the end. We've talked about a lot about why we do this and the no-brainer, but there is kind of a commitment to this. And I tell students this at Summer Academy. One of the things I learned first day at school without my parents there was, a lot of times college professors, college staff will treat you like an adult as long as you want to act like an adult. And that's really the simplest way I can talk about taking control of your education and being an early college student and not just a college student. And the easiest way to relate that to this program is that there is a cost to it. There is a potential cost to it. We do have a reduced, significantly reduced discounted rate, $40 per credit with our UMA partnership. And I'll introduce Christine in a second to talk more about the UMA specifics. But that doesn't mean that students are restricted to only taking UMA courses. UMA even offers additional online courses or other dual enrollment courses through their Aspirations program, which Christine can talk about. But the more and more, you heard me mention when I first started this in high school, thinking about this, it was very new to the state. Folks like Brian trying to increase those opportunities from the state legislature. Fast forward 10 years, 11 years later, now we are. There are many different programs, many different schools, both public and private, trying to offer dual enrollment opportunities to students for good reason. So students have a lot of options available, and Hermon High School is a great example of that. I think they call it maybe the a la carte model, where there's a lot of different options to take at Hermon High School. And then when they go over to UTC, additionally, and you'll hear more about this later, there are additional credits that they're earning at UTC in their UTC program, most likely. So when there are certain funding mechanisms and programs like the Aspirations program where there is a 12 credit per limit and students are taking those courses, eventually they're going to hit that cap and have to pay basically the early college rate, which is $138.25. So with all that said, I mean, there's long-term savings, short-term savings, flexibility that comes with it initially, and obviously long-term. I think it's pretty clear that when you're earning up to 30 credits in high school, and many of our students are graduating at least a semester early, you're saving a semester worth of tuition and time and getting into the workforce earlier, which we have a great story to show you that. But the Aspirations and the Bridge is a common question that we get. What's the difference? And folks feel like they have to do one or the other. And the short answer is you can do both. So Christine, why don't I introduce you? You're the expert here. Why don't you talk more about dual enrollment in general, but specifically UMA and the options available to them there?
Sure thing. Thank you, Mason. Everyone, I'm Christine Knight. I'm an early college counselor with UMA. One of the most common things that parents ask me, students ask me is, okay, well, why do Bridge Academy and pay a $40 per credit rate when I could just do Aspirations or a concurrent enrollment course at my high school? And Mason kind of touched on it. I mean, we talk about You're limited to 12 credits per academic year. Bridge students, they are typically taking 13 or more credits sometimes. But also the $40 per credit rate is still a huge savings. When you're talking about, and this is just for UMA, and rates always change, so I can only speak to what today's rate is. But if you are a matriculated college student at the University of Maine at Augusta, every single credit that you take, so an English 101 class would be 3 credits. Every single credit would be $245. So as a bridge student, you are saving $205 per credit. So we're talking about what would be a $735 class in tuition alone when you matriculate as a student. You're actually getting for $120. You're saving $615. And with that rate, you are also getting a whole lot of built-in supports. So you're moving with your classmates in a cohort model. You have a programmatic approach. So you're not just throwing, credits at the wall, taking as many as you can, and walking away without the ability to transfer them in a meaningful way. So the other thing that our department focuses on is really making sure that students know what their plan is, at least in general, so that we can best advise them on which courses are going to most easily transfer. Parents also ask me all the time, Christine, how do I know these credits will transfer? The general rule of thumb is any course that is a 100 or 200 level course within the University of Maine system or the Maine Community College system is guaranteed to transfer within our state's public higher ed institutions. So again, within those two systems. Now, a gentleman on the last call we did for our parent night said, well, my Chem 100 didn't actually transfer to my program when I went to this other university and did this program. How a course may transfer is actually very dependent upon the program that you take. So keep that in mind. You may actually not be able to transfer that, that lab science as a core credit, but you could transfer it as an elective. That's something good to keep in mind. And we can't guarantee that your credits will transfer to a private institution within state or out of state. It is up to the receiving institution to determine whether or not your credits will transfer. However, we are seeing across the country that more and more these credits are being accepted for transferability. So you're getting a long-term potential savings on your time and money spent on a potential post-secondary degree. Additionally, that bridge tuition rate goes towards additional support and resources from UMA and the early college program that not other early college students receive. So you have access to all of our libraries, our tutoring services. If COVID's not in the way, we make sure we get you an ID card. You can use our recreational facilities, student life events are available to you. And you also have free advising from our early college counselors, such as myself, so that if you have any questions, hey, Christine, I think I might know what I want to do, but I don't know how to get there, or how do I start applying for college? All these questions, they are questions that we are happy to help you navigate. So you're getting a lot of added value with that tuition rate.
Thank you. Yeah, and UMA, and Brian hit on this earlier too. UMA has been there since the beginning and been a major player in the success, not just of our program, but obviously the students in the program and after. So hats off to folks like Christine and the system in general who really go above and beyond for the students in our program, and really shows that when the students kind of put forth some effort and accountability, there are folks there on the receiving end who want to help them. So the discounted rate is obviously a major factor that we bring exclusively. Another one that kind of is the obvious, the one that folks experience the most directly from us is our financial assistance options for the program. So we hit on the fact that there might be a cost, whether that be the $40 per credit, whether that's 3 credits, 6 credits, 9 credits from UMA at Hermon High School. Could be anywhere. Usually I see at least $240 a year for students at Hermon High School. I actually rarely see $520 anymore. That's the 13 credit load and not as common at Hermon High School anymore. Typically I see it in the $240 to $400 per year range. With that said, even if there is a cost due, we do have 2 different exclusive need-based scholarships available. So students that incur a cost can still be approved potentially for a scholarship that we pay for. I'll talk first about the one that we offer exclusively through our organization, known as the Bridge Year Educational Services Scholarship. Again, that's exclusive just to Bridge students. And you can see on the right side of my slides there some criteria, and that's the criteria for our Bridge Year Educational Services Scholarship Program. So if you can obviously calculate how many people live in your household, obviously not right now, maybe doing the 4-week income max, but you would take however many people in your household, how the last 4 weeks income in your household, and then that's kind of how you get a general idea of whether you would qualify. That's a year-to-year scholarship program. So say you apply for it, you're approved your junior year, you would have to reapply again your senior year. It's something we have to approve every year, regardless of whether income doesn't change or does change. It's just more of a paperwork processing option. So that's the second option. And the reason why I say it's the second option is because the Competitive Skills Scholarship Program that's offered through the Department of Labor is exclusive to our Bridge students. Bridge students are the only high school age students that have access to potentially be eligible for that and apply for it. And what it is, it's a scholarship that really is targeted towards workforce needs from the state through the Department of Labor, but it was originally tailored towards non-traditional adult students looking to get back into the workforce in those specific categories. And folks, again, like Brian and the legislature, saw just how much our students matched up with who they were trying to recruit back for that program, and was fortunately to pass legislation that we had access to that now. So Bridge students every year, I say every year, during the pandemic and the unemployment crisis, it went away. So it just came back this fall. But students are able to apply for that their junior year or senior year. If they're approved, they only have to apply for it once, only have to be approved once. It's a little bit more of an extensive process. Requires a little bit of tax information to confirm the income because of all the state money that's coming out to you. And that amount of money is up to $6,000 per year. After high school is when it's really typically utilized. As we talked about, the costs for the Bridge program are fairly minimal. So students rarely ever use more than $1,000. But same as Bridge Year Scholarship, can cover textbooks, can cover additional tuition costs of Bridge tuition, occasionally things like transportation needs if it's directly related to your dual enrollment courses. Example of that is a student that may need to travel to campus, say in Augusta or something like that, needs gas money because that's their only option. I mean, rare cases, but CSSP will go above and beyond to try to help you out in your program. And that's all overseen by Stacy Hanley. She's the caseworker for Bridge students in the CSSP program. She'll meet with students typically no more than once a year, but we'll touch base just like Christine or myself would throughout the year as needed. And the difference, additionally, just the amount of money and that the fact that it lasts after high school, but it can help cover, she can help you work through FAFSA. She can help you pay your tuition deposit, housing deposit as you get ready to go into the senior year. All those things can be covered by CSSP, whereas the Bridge Year Scholarship is strictly Bridge tuition and any textbooks that are uncovered by the high school. So even if you're a Bridge student, Bridge Year Scholarship student, and you qualify for that, it still eliminates the cost of the program and you get everything that we've already talked about. But we're always going to encourage students to apply for CSSP. If I ever get an application through for Bridge Year Scholarship and I see you might have been eligible or might be eligible for CSSP, I'm going to tell you to apply for that one. And unless a month goes by and you haven't applied yet, I'm always going to encourage you to do that because of the much extra beneficial nature of that. So that's a quick overview. I wouldn't say quick. That's an overview of our scholarships. If anyone has any questions there later, I'm happy to answer those.
Mason, I think we have like 42 students at the post-secondary level that are using the CSSP scholarship. So they're as they making their way through, that's making the difference between whether they can stay in college and get out without any debt or not. So, and that's on their website. You can look up and see their report of with Bridge students in it.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you said that too. If anyone, obviously you can, like you said, you can find it on the website, but if anyone just wants to save some time, feel free to email me, and I'll be happy to share that with you too. And the one thing to note about Competitive Skills Scholarship is that it's a very, very high need program. So when you see that email, we talked earlier about checking emails, the importance of checking emails. That's an email you want to be on the lookout for if you join this program, is an email from me about when scholarships are available to apply. So that's the kind of the financial pillar, I would say, that we bring to the program across the state. The other one is the summer academies. So there's the mandatory piece. Obviously, you take college courses, you attend a CTE program at UTC, and then you attend 2 summer academies, one before your junior year, so initially starting the program, and then one before your senior year. I'll give you the overall view of what a traditional summer academy is. It's changed a little bit since the pandemic started, and for good and bad reasons. Obviously, we love to meet students around the state, but it has allowed us to tailor our academies and events to a little bit more of an orientation feel. So we're learning a lot as we go. What you're seeing on the right side of the screen there is our last actually traditional summer academy before the pandemic. So it's always great for me to look at students. The junior one, like I said, they're 2 different events and they're a little bit different. So junior events, we bring them onto campus. Historically, it's been Eastern Maine Community College. They stay in a residence hall overnight for 2 nights. They're there for 3 days. And typically they'll room with someone else in their cohort, try to get that kind of a college roommate experience. Brian mentioned we have a RA who we hire, McKinley, who has been an RA in a college, not just someone who's lived in a college residence hall. Does a really good job talking about a lot of the things, whether you think you're a quiet person or someone who's really loud. There are various ways that you can break rules, and it's always good to know that just what it means to be a responsible person in a residence hall as a college student. Like I said, act like an adult, you'll be treated like an adult. But that's just one little piece of the experience that we get. Like I said, orientation, folks like Christine will come give a presentation about, again, what it means to be an early college student, and that's something that's required for them. So we want to make sure that students really understand the deadlines, the expectations of them as a college student, things like the withdrawal process, registration process. We don't want you to do this program and suffer academically for whatever reasons, whether it's kind of voluntary or involuntary, and then leave the program with F's on your transcripts and owing bills. We don't want that to happen. So occasionally, if we get a note about that, we'll try to reach out. Counselors, I'm sure, will do the same. Teachers, the same. But it's important as a student that you take it upon yourself too to make sure you're listening to those deadlines, those expectations, and working through the processes so that you're not kind of losing out on joining the program when it's really a no-brainer to join the program and get the most out of it. Generally, the junior academy is, like I said, 3 days, 2 nights. We try to do a little bit of a mix of career exploration that's more heavy on the career exploration, employer tours. We've gone to places like GE Power that you can see on the screen. I think it's CNL Aviation. Apologies if I get that wrong, but that's in Bangor over by the airport. We've gone to Wayfair to get more of a business flair, Jackson Labs down on the coast, biomedical. We try to diversify it a little bit, even change it up every year as students come back in the second year. And then we try to do some fun activities. I mean, I think Blackbeards, everyone knows, unfortunately, that's not open anymore. But we've gone to Bangor Escape Room, places around the state, trying to have fun. Senior fun activities tend to be more going to the movies because we do a very intense college tour, traveling around the state, going around to different colleges, trying to get a mix of community colleges, public universities, private universities, all around the state. And by the time we get done at night, everyone just wants to sit in the movie theater and relax and watch a movie. So junior year tends to be a little bit more of a active. And then by the time students have taken college courses their junior year, done 1 year in the program, by the time they get to senior summer academy, it's more down to business. Let me look at where I want to go. And we've mentioned that Hermon is the first program for us. Back in, I think the first graduating class was 16. This class with Kari Burns, I think it was 2014, I want to say, when the program got up and running. But Kari Burns is a really, really great example of the summer academy effect. Not to mention just going and doing UTC and dual enrollment courses. But when we talked to Kari Burns last year or so, Brian talked to her. She mentioned obviously the benefits of doing and saving time and doing the program and saving money, but she also mentioned that she kind of went to a summer academy that I don't think it's any news to me that a lot of students don't want to leave their fun in the summer and go to a summer academy. So she was a little hesitant to do it. I'm sure she probably had someone pushing her to get there. But we took her senior year. She came back her senior year for a summer academy. Like I said, down to business, had the experience of her building construction program at UTC. And she had taken some chemistry courses through UMA at Hermon High School that junior year. And she said she was starting to see between her UTC program and the chemistry course, kind of what she liked to do and what courses she liked to study and where she might want to go as far as those, she can take more of those courses. And then we brought her to Maine Maritime Academy, and she said she fell in love with the place and really could apply what she was as a bridge student, as a UTC student, Hermon student, and what Maine Maritime could offer her. And then that turned into an enrollment, which turned into her transferring over the credits, graduating a semester early. And then Brian, I'll give you the spotlight. What did she tell you about where she was working and how she got that job?
Well, this is always a lot of fun, and I hope you folks in Hermon can be really proud. One of the first things I want you to notice about this picture, you don't see many graduation pictures in a snowbank. Now, people outside the state of Maine might think this is July in Maine, but it's really December. So she graduated in December when the rest of her class is going to graduate in May. So this is, December of 2019. And in March of that year of 2020, I was talking with Kari to come back to UTC and speak about Bridge Academy, but she had been hired by an offshore oil rig, a company that produces oil off in the Gulf of Mexico, and she was headed to helicopter school. This was March 4th of 2020. And around the March 11th or 12th, right in there, the world shut down, travel shut down, lockdowns happened, and she was in Texas at helicopter school, and then she made it out to work. And her first job, as she said, was $90,000 a year. And her boyfriend, who also went to Maine Maritime, they both planned on living in Maine, somewhere north of Bangor. Who knows? Maybe right around the corner from you. I'm not sure exactly where she lives, but she, had she not graduated in December, the chances that she would have landed this job, because she was out before her classmates, and the fact that she would have gone to training and been able to get out to work, would have probably set her back a year. So we're very, very proud of her, and you all should be as well, because she really took the bull by the horns. She was able to get 3 more endorsements on her Coast Guard license and minor in business as well. So she just went right to town. So as Mason said, sometimes students kind of gripe and moan a little bit about going on the trip until they see something that they didn't know existed.
Yeah, it's very true. And Kari is like the better version of the way I like to see myself, is that or I wish I had seen myself, is that a lot of the things that you do that you really don't want to do in the moment, but you look back 10 years later, it's a thing I convince my other students and friends with, is think about 10 years from now, would you look back on this question and this decision and say, I regretted doing it? Or would you be glad that you at least tried it and see what you got out of it? So that worked for me personally. It's worked for people. And I think it really is a good representation of Kari as well, or where she will be in 10 years. In the interest of time, I don't want to spend too much on this. So if folks have questions, we just wanted to show a little flavor of the additional opportunities and supports that we bring to the table, not just for Hermon, but across the state. One of those is the WOWY career assessment. It's a 3-dimensional career assessment that provides feedback on skills, interests, and aptitudes for students. We try to have them take that at summer academy so they can get that feedback about potential career fits for them and paths, and even where they could go and where they could take those and how they can improve upon those skills in a career path that they want to go into. Brightspace is Brightspace's learning management system. Brian mentioned earlier, it's the learning management system for the Maine Community College system and university system. right on the face of it, one of the main reasons why we did it was because it would provide our students with familiarity with the platform. By the time they got to college, it would just be like carrying off where they left off. And for someone in college right now, I can tell you, having some familiarity with an online learning management system will save you hours of time and stress if you can learn how to do that. And many high school students are now too, not just bridge students, but students in the aspirations program often utilize UMAs or other institutions, Brightspace. But the one special part about ours specifically with UTC is that UTC utilizes our Bridge Academy platform, and some of their programs offer their curriculums and CTE content through our platform. So Bridge students won't just have an account for the Bridge program and the opportunities like the WOWI and EMCC Opportunity Ready Badge and other opportunities that we put into the Brightspace for students optionally to take advantage of, but some of them will also use their Bridge Academy account to take part in their UTC classes too, which I'm sure others can answer questions on that later if others have specific questions. You can see the contact info on the screen. Happy to answer any questions either now or later. I just wanted to make sure that we spent some time on the UTC portion of it. The CTE portion is just as important. So Michelle, and I know Heather's on the call as well. Michelle, do you mind just going through any important aspects of UTC?
Yeah, so we are fortunate to have Heather Pelletier on the call. So I'm going to turn to you in a minute, Heather, but I just wanted to mention to sophomore students and parents that all sophomores will actually have a chance to hear a presentation on the afternoon of February 16th from UTC. They're coming here to Hermon High. They'll discuss all of the different programs that are available to you, and they'll kind of give you an opportunity to go on a piece of paper and just sort of rank the programs of interest to you. And then on March 2nd, which is the week after we come back from February break, I believe, then you'll have an opportunity. We'll go together as a group, the whole sophomore class will go to UTC, and you'll have a chance to tour 4 of your top programs of interest. And that will be a good experience just to be able to get you there in the building to see what programs there are, to learn a little bit more about those. And then hopefully when we get to the point where you're deciding what you might want to do for a program, that gives you a little bit more information. But I would like to just see if Heather Pelletier, who's the Student Services Coordinator at UTC, has anything that she might want to add on this slide.
Good evening. Thanks for letting me speak about UTC. UTC has 19 different programs, and they're enveloped within 4 different industries. We have the service industries, computer science and production technology, transportation, and then what would be considered the construction field. Most of our programs have college credits that can be earned just by taking our standard curriculum. We have agreements with Eastern Maine Community College, Northern Maine Community College, and Southern Maine Community College, as well as some articulation agreements. If you go to a specific college, they will give you credit for having taken one of our courses. The credits and courses that are associated with each of our programs, it is all dependent on the colleges, so they do change from time to time. We try to keep an updated list in our program, which your students will receive during that visit from Noelle Auclair, our Dean of Students. We have expanded our tour this year so that the students will get to see 4 programs. Traditionally, it's been 3, but where we offer so many programs in multiple areas, we really felt it would be important for students to be able to see more while they're in our building. If they come for a tour and they're still unsure of what they might want to study with us, they can certainly reach out to me or Noelle Auclair, and we could either set up a time for them to come back to the building, or we can definitely answer questions either in a Google Meet or a phone call or by email. We're very accessible. A couple of things that I'd like to highlight is that we have a few credentialing programs, and for these programs, students can actually graduate high school with either a college certificate or an associate degree. The reason that it's brought up during the Bridge presentation is because it goes very nicely with the Bridge mission and the courses that you'll be taking through Bridge Academy. One example of this is our business program. Just by taking the course at UTC, you'll be enrolled in the business courses necessary to obtain a small business certificate through Eastern Maine Community College. And that's with just a couple of additional courses. Students have to take English 101 and ethics. And so that is something you can take as part of your Bridge program while you're taking the business courses with us. And then you would be able to actually participate in the commencement ceremony at Eastern Maine Community College. And the slide that Mason just turned to is actually two of the business students from UTC that are Hermon grads. And I believe Malaya is actually doing a service project with us. She's in her senior year. She's going to help us with our website and some of our marketing. And I believe she's graduating in May, and she's just a couple years out of high school. So all of her Bridge credits coupled with her UTC credits and dual enrollment, and then the motivation and introduction she got to college, she's really been able to move through her college program, and she'll be graduating significantly early. We also offer this in automotive engineering for a certificate. And then the opportunity is also available in electronics and advanced manufacturing. And I'm happy to sit down with students at UTC and work out a customized plan so that they can see what this would look like over time. I'm a very visual person, so I've developed some tools where students can see what it would look like through a 2-year plan in the courses that they would need to take. One thing I will mention is Christine mentioned the 12 free college credits that students can take through the Aspirations program. The dual enrollment at UTC does count for that. So anything over the 12 credits would be charged at the early college rate through an agreement that we have. So students would potentially have an additional cost for the EMCC classes once they've hit their 12 free credits. And it would be at a reduced rate. I believe their early college rate, I think, is $50 per credit. But that's something we can definitely look at. And UTC will be offering a scholarship on an application basis for students that need some additional assistance with that part as well.
To jump into, we have a question in the chat from Holly. She says, I love all of the college type experiences they could have through Bridge Academy, but I don't know if my child would fit only because he's currently not into any of the programs UTC offers. He's actually into history, but he'd love to take courses ahead of time. Thoughts? And I can speak really quickly to this. Hermon High School is one of UMA's partnership programs that not only offer Bridge Academy courses at the high school, but they also offer concurrent enrollment. And concurrent enrollment is essentially a lot of the same core gen ed classes that students get through Bridge Academy, just minus the CTE program. So your student could potentially still take those classes at the high school or access courses online or on campus through the University of Maine system or the Maine Community College system. So that's an option as well. I do really quickly want to hit on something I forgot earlier with what are some of the additional supports that you're getting as a student who's taking Bridge Academy courses. And, you know, a typical college semester is 15 weeks long. But on average, our Bridge Academy and concurrent enrollment courses are usually 35 weeks long. So you're getting 20 extra weeks in the classroom in classes that meet the rigor that's expected of college courses because the high school instructors who teach them have been vetted and are being supported by UMA or in some cases, the community college faculty. So it's something to keep in mind that those courses, when we tell you you're taking a college course, we mean it. That meets the expectations that matriculated students would expect if they are taking a course on our campus.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. So I think in the interest of time, I'm going to try to go really quick through just the next and last steps as far as what students should be focusing on now. And most of this stuff won't be me. It's really up to Hermon High School. But where you're at now is students are obviously being informed. Parent-student presentation is where we're at right now. The student will complete the Bridge Academy application, and that may be in addition to a UTC application. I'll leave that to them to answer. Student selects CT course of interest and registers. That's most likely the advising period. So the one I really just want to hit on is students attend Summer Academy. That information is not set yet right now anyway, but information would come out hopefully by the time you would be notified by an admissions decision, which won't be until April anyway. So there's still some time. Students then register for their courses, which oftentimes happens before Summer Academy, but we'll make sure it happens at Summer Academy if it hasn't yet. And then applying for bridge scholarships and all the other stuff will happen in the fall time. So really the biggest thing you want to focus on right now is just that really, I mean, thinking about whether you want to do the program, what you want to do. That question about being interested in history is a great one. We don't want to force students into a program, like I said, where it's not going to be for their benefit. I'm a history buff. I think I probably would have loved an engineering program, but it really might not have been. And that's one of the benefits of this program is we're really not trying to enroll every single student. We want to help the students that really are there to be helped and fit the mission of what Brian was talking about earlier, that the state and the workforce need. With that said, there are a lot of different programs at CT centers now that people don't expect that were there, like maybe a criminal justice. There's a fellow bridge student who wanted to be a lawyer just like me and doing criminal justice. So there are different aspects that you can get that hands-on experience as well. Like I said, if you do that due diligence and you still think there's just better options, we totally support that. If not, encourage it, because we want you to be successful too. And we don't want to have a bridge student come in and leave the program like, oh no, and tell another person. It's really not the best program. When it is, it just wasn't for them. So that's just my spiel there. As far as the specific application process, we do have an online application in smaller font. You can see it there. If someone doesn't mind putting it in the chat, hopefully we can get that link up there in the chat that you can use too. Applications are due April 1st. And as far as it goes, as far as getting it in as soon as possible, I'll leave that to Hermon High School because they have certain requirements. So in the application, there is a personal essay, mimics very similar what you might see in a college essay. And the application process we built in general is meant to mimic as much of a college application as possible. It does require a parent signature so that we understand that you understand the commitments of the program, the costs, etc. And then there's a letter of recommendation requirement, which varies a little bit at every school. Some schools are different. So folks at Hermon High School, if you don't mind just speaking to any specific asks you have of students when they submit their letter of recommendation or request it. And as far as timing goes between advising and when they should apply, do you mind just speaking to that real quick?
Sure. Yeah. So with the letter of recommendation, we would ask that students ask one of their core academic teachers for a letter of recommendation. This is good practice for when you're asking for letters of recommendation for your college applications, which is one of the reasons why we're asking you to do this now. And certainly any one of us counselors at school can help you figure out who might be a good fit if you had questions about that. As far as course advising with us, so a couple of things are coming right up in the near future that are going to help with part of this process. So obviously by now you know that participating in a program at UTC is a requirement of Bridge. On February 16th, UTC is coming to present to Hermon High School. On March 2nd, students will tour UTC to see their top 4 programs of interest. So between, I think it's March 15th to the end of March, we'll actually be having our academic advising. And so students will have an opportunity to schedule an appointment time with their counselor. The tricky part is because the Bridge applications aren't due until April 1st, and that's when course registration closes. We'll actually work with interested students to sort of customize organize a schedule and a plan for you, and then readjust as necessary if for some reason you do not go through with the bridge program. So that's sort of the timeline of things. So we'll be announcing when we have signups available for those advising appointments, but those are kind of the important dates between now and then. Any questions about that at this point? And I guess I would just say at this point, we'll open it up for general questions for any of us as well. The good thing about the recording of the presentation, if you're anything like me, when I attend a presentation like this, sometimes I go back and look at some of the slides and jot down more questions and then follow up with the contact information as well. So please don't feel like your last chance to ask a question is this evening in this moment. Anything coming through? Doesn't look to be that way. Well, go ahead if you'd like, but at this last moment, I'll just kind of put out a thank you, especially to our partners in Bridge Academy, Mason Brewer and Brian Langley, Christine Knight for UMA. We really appreciate your input as well. Heather Pelletier, it's wonderful to have you on here to be able to speak for UTC programs. And certainly I'll just put in just another reminder that students, you can consult with your school counselor if you have questions about Bridge, questions about academic advising, any of the timing piece, the application piece. And I will also put the link for the application in an email to sophomore students probably later this evening. So you can look for that in your email as well.
And if you don't mind, real quick, the only thing, so everything, obviously advising is through Hermon High School. I do want to mention, if you do incur like a technical problem with the application, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. We oversee the application, not Hermon High School. So if it's like a technical, I can't submit, it won't let me save, etc. Please reach out to me and I can do that, or you can reach out through Hermon High School. That's fine too. If it's something like who should I recommend, what should I write in my essay, I'm happy to help, but I'll likely forward you to someone at Hermon High School. So again, it's just technical issues I'm happy to help with. Other than that, I think every other question should be directed for now at Hermon High School and UTC or UMA if it's an early college question.
All right. I don't see any last minute questions. So again, I thank you all for joining us this evening. I hope this information has been really, really helpful to you. And I just checking. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. I thought we had a question there. Please reach out with any questions, and thanks again. Have a good evening.
Thanks for having us.